13 souls stolen, one rescued from the refuse. A man barely past a boy, raised by bears of blood-soaked oaks. As love grows distant, cotton candy tastes so sweet. Lust and love, what's the difference? The badger jokes and steals, the world sneers and scorns. Blamed for their father's sins, innocent hearts drown in Dhampir sins.
Welcome to Dhampir Sins, Book 1 of the Sacred Beast series by Sarah Yuher. 5. Savior. 15th of Anyagoni's dusk, 23:47 a.m. Kage. The early dawn light looked beautiful as it spread through the city, and Kage snuggled in close to the spiced honey scent of the man who had plucked him out of that dirty alley. Kirin, he said his name is Kirin. Kage tightened his arms around Kirin's waist as the other Dhampir weaved through the early morning traffic. Kage could still taste the mix of Kirin's blood and cum in his mouth. He still felt that sweet lust that pushed away the gnawing pain of his stomach. That human's wallet had about 500 mira in it. It was enough for Kage to get a cheeseburger, fries, and the most giant milkshake he could get. Or pancakes smothered in fruit and whipped cream and syrup. Or both. We get to eat, not just feed, Mrs. Squawkle. Kage giggled softly to his stuffed snow leopard as Kirin parked the bike in an apartment complex's parking garage. Mrs. Squawkle? That's what you named that thing? Kirin asked with a raised brow. Kage nodded his head emphatically. The werfoxes at the orphanage found her with me when I was left on their doorstep, he said as he hugged Mrs. Squawkle to his chest. So, you were born up north? In the Elkin Forest? Or the Snow-Shroud Mountains? Where? Kirin watched Kage as he leaned against the wall of the elevator. Yeah, where the different Elkin live. The tall people with copper skin and blonde hair. The Dhampirs like me but with blue eyes that go red when they see me? Kage asked and lightly plucked at Mrs. Squawkle's ear. They would hit me when their eyes went red. They live there too, Kirin said softly. You came south to escape the Dhampirs, didn't you? Kage nodded. When? He moved his hand down with the palm facing the floor. He didn't want to talk anymore. The werfoxes hadn't been too mean to him, but none had the blue eyes that turned red. I see. The apartment Kirin led him to was small, and an angry human female met them. Where have you been? And who the fuck is this? She demanded. Ugh. He smells like an outhouse. He's my friend, Kage, and I was helping him. Kirin growled and grabbed Kage's wrist as he pulled the incubus inside the apartment. Kage flinched away from the woman as she rounded on Kirin. You're not bringing that filthy vagrant in here. Yes, I am. Kirin snapped back as he let Kage go and grabbed the girl to drag her into one of the rooms down the small hallway. Kage stood in the middle of the room and hugged Mrs. Squawkle to his chest as he listened to the pair argue. He wanted to go to the front door, to leave, but he was frozen where he stood and watched the closed bedroom door. Kirin's angry voice reminded him of how his amber eyes glowed like they were dipped in blood as he bit that human. He jumped and almost peed himself when the bedroom door slammed open, and the girls stormed out towards the front door. Where are you going, Lacey? Kirin demanded as he followed her. Out with friends, she shot back at him. Lacey's words filled the room with a sweet, rich, sinfully decadent scent. It wasn't the first time Kage had smelled this, and he had noticed it more and more in the past few weeks when he was feeding. However, it had always had an undertone of something bitter and acrid. This was clean and pure, and Kage shivered with his need to feed. Kage. Kirin's voice was firm, and Kage froze. He hadn't realized he had taken a step towards Lacey. His eyes were on her and his fangs extended. The human girl looked disgusted at Kage before leaving the apartment. When he looked back at Kirin, the other Dhampir had a strange look on his face. Come with me, Kirin said. Kage followed Kirin down the small hallway to the bathroom and watched him start filling the tub. He nudged the trash can next to the sink with his foot and instructed him to strip off his clothes and throw them away. Kage was naked and sitting in the tub, playing with the bubbles, when Kirin returned with scissors. What are those for? Kage asked. Your hair, Kieran said. He had changed into a plain t-shirt and shorts and was barefoot as he pulled clippers from the medicine cabinet before sitting on the tub's edge with his feet in the water. My hair? Kieran nodded. It's all matted, and I have nothing to untangle it. Best to cut it off and let you regrow it if you want to, he said as he moved the trash can next to him and started to cut Kage's hair. It looked very similar to his when he was done, except shorter. Before Kage could do more than look at it in the hand mirror Kieran had used to show him, the taller Dhampir started to scrub every inch of Kage. Stop. That tickles. Kage squealed as Kieran worked on his foot. Should have cleaned yourself in the river more often, he pointed out, catching Kage's other foot as he giggled and squirmed. When the water in the tub was dirty, Kieran drained it and filled it again, repeating the process until Kage barely recognized himself in the mirror. He was so clean. His body started to itch, and he had a headache. And shivers, so not even the hot water from the shower stopped when Kieran turned it on so Kage could rinse one last time. It felt like when he hadn't been able to get dust in a while. Kieran pressed his forehead to Kage's as he stood in the tub, huddling and shivering in a big fluffy towel. You feel all right? Kieran asked. Kage nodded, not wanting to speak through his chattering teeth. He wanted more dust, but Kieran had said no more if he came with him. Kieran frowned and offered his wrist to Kage. I'm fine, Kage said, and Kieran rolled his eyes at him before biting his wrist. The scent of blood, like spiced honey, hit Kage harder than the high he got from the dust. His fangs ached, and before he realized what he was doing, Kieran's blood flowed over his tongue in a scalding wave, energizing him and waking up his magic to reach out to his savior. Pent-up desire and lust threatened to drown Kage as his hunger rose with his magic and stoked the flame inside Kieran. When he looked up at him, Kieran's fangs were extended and his eyes glowed like amber dipped in blood. Kieran closed his eyes and seemed to be fighting himself as the same scent from before whispered through the spiced honey scent that was his. Between Kage's legs ached, and his cock was rock hard as he turned around and bent forward, presenting himself to the other man like a dog in heat. He wanted Kieran's cock and fangs inside him. He hadn't wanted the man from the alley or every other person since his hunger first awakened like he wanted Kieran at that moment. Please, Kage begged as he felt Kieran's hands on him and that hard cock grind against his rear. A shudder ran through Kieran momentarily before his magic pushed Kage's back. No, Kieran said in a strangled voice, pulling away from Kage. Please. Kage turned to look at him, pleading with him. Kieran closed his eyes tight and shook his head. I won't cheat on Lacey or take advantage of you. Kieran yelled, and his magic crashed into Kage like cold water, shattering its hold on them. Kage stumbled and almost fell to the ground as Kieran caught him. I want you to fuck me. You taste good, Kage whimpered. I said no, Kage. You need to respect that. We'll figure out finding you what you need, Kieran said, stroking Kage's hair lightly. Maybe if we get some food in your belly, you'll feel better and I won't seem so tasty.
Enter the world, but tread with care. Those roots remember every prayer. Carved from ash, from bone, from flame. The sacred beasts don't play your game. Here change comes, swift on silver wing, with dragonflies that bite and sting. Truth flickers soft and sharp as steel, and every wound must learn to heal. Don't come armed with hollow lore. This world won't let you fake the war. For those who think they understand, you'll bleed the fastest by your hand. So read and ache, be torn apart. These stories rise from broken hearts. With grit and teeth they scream and soar. You've never known a world like this before.